So sacred segments. We are 15th of March 2023. Welcome to this group, everyone. Thank you. So we're going to have a meditation from Morag shortly. Thank you so much for doing that. I just want to briefly speak about the Archangel Shamuel, who is the relationship harmony angel. And I've worked with this angel in the past when I've had relationship conflict, and it doesn't work straight away. It works in divine time.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes. So it's the I'm speaking about the Archangel Shamuel. On every sacred segment, I bring focus to a particular angel or archangel or divinity aspect of divinity. And today, I'd like to speak about the Archangel Shamuel just for a moment before handing over to Morag. And this archangel is all about relationship harmony. So when you have any kind of conflict in your relationships, if you call on the Archangel Shamuel for peace within that relationship, for forgiveness of being wronged, whether you're going through a divorce or if you're going through a breakup, or if you've had conflict in your relationship, you can help the situation by calling on the Archangel Shamuel, and it really, really works. It really helps. It won't work straight away. It works in divine time. So you have to kind of surrender. But I want to offer you that thought that if you want to work with the angelic realm, they're there for us, but by karmic law, we have to ask before they can intervene, because we have free will, right? I'm sure a lot of you know this. I'm repeating what a lot of you know. So that's my focus on the Archangel Shamuel. I'm going to ask Morag to lead us in her meditation, and thank you for being here, everyone.
So good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm just testing out my new microphone, that's why I'm asking. So today I want to share with you a little bit about Ho'oponopono, which some of you may have come across before. And it's really a Hawaiian healing prayer. And the whole art of a Ho'oponopono is to constantly, throughout your daily life, release any negativity you come across, so that you can release personal grudges, emotional pain, and throughout your life just continue a gentle healing process. Now, the simple mantra that a lot of people are familiar with is I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And when something comes into your life that unsettles you or hurts you, you just repeat this simple mantra. In the 1980s, Dr. Len, who made Ho'oponopono, if you like, more widely known, he was a Hawaiian psychologist, and simply through using the Ho'oponopono prayers, he healed over a period of 2 years a whole ward of severely people with severe mental health problems. And he didn't do any of the general kind of usual psychiatry methods on them. All he did is hold their files and say these prayers over them every day. And his take on it was it was his perception that these people had mental illness that needed to be corrected. And when his perception was corrected, then they were free and healed. So today what I want to share with you is Morna's prayer. Now, Morna's prayer is the longer version of Ho'oponopono, not so widely known. And it's a beautiful prayer that's split into 3 sections. In the middle section, there is a space where you can insert anything you want to heal in your life. So this can be emotional pain, or it can be, I don't know, I've got a bit of a phobia about tech. So at the moment, I use the prayer to heal that perception that I have a phobia of tech, because it's only a perception that I've built up from external beings, not from inside of me. So, but today I thought, well, what can we do within the prayer, as it's only a short segment? And I'm going to insert simply that not being lovable, the words that came to me. Because a lot of people's pain and emotional pain and insecurities come through some point in their life they just didn't feel loved. And maybe now they don't feel fully loved and heard. So that's what I want to lead with today. So it's only, the prayer comes in 3 parts. So I would like you to all be just still and close your eyes and just take some nice deep breaths. And just feel your bellies relax. Feel your hearts opening to yourselves. And just simply relax. And let the words just flow over you. And it's more about the energy of the words than the words themselves. I am the I. I come forth from the void into the light. I am the breath that nurtures life. I am the emptiness, the hollowness beyond all consciousness, the I, the id, the all. I draw my bow of rainbows across the waters, the continuum of minds with matters. I am the invisible, untouchable breeze, the undefinable atom of creation. I am the I. Divine Spirit, superconscious, please locate the origins of my feelings, thoughts, and patterns of not being lovable. Take each and every layer, area, and aspect of my being to this origin, analyze it, and resolve it perfectly with God's truth. Come through all generations of time and eternity, healing every incident and its appendages based on the origin. Please do it according to God's truth until I am at the present, filled with light and love. God's peace and love, forgiveness of myself for my incorrect perceptions, forgiveness of every person, place, circumstance, and events which contributed to these feelings, thoughts, beliefs, and energies. Thank you, Divine. I love you. I forgives myself. I loves myself. And it is so. Peace be with you, all my peace, the peace that is I, the peace that is I am, the peace for always, now and forever and evermore. My peace I give you, my peace I leave with you, not the world's peace, but only my peace, the peace of I. Just come back when you're ready.
Thank you, Morag. That was fantastic.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And if anyone would like a copy of the prayer, if they email me at morag@moragturner.com, I'll send it to them.
And for those that don't know, Morag offers Magdalene Priestess training.
I do.
Yes.
And healing.
And where can people find out more about your work?
If they go to my website, moragturner.com.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that. That was beautiful. Harkin has joined us. Did I say your name correctly?
Yes, you did. Hi.
Great. Hi, welcome. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Had a busy morning. I was just feeding my son lunch, and I wanted to come in about 10 minutes ago, but it is what it is. Sometimes being busy with being a busy parent and an entrepreneur kind of overlaps sometimes.
So Harkin and Raven have a group called Sacred Inspirations, which is synchronous. And I've asked Harkin to do a regular segment on runes because I'm very into runes and do rune readings. And I believe that Raven is also going to join us later. I know that there's been some time issues with, America's lost an hour and she's in New York, so hopefully she will realize about the time change. But I want to ask Paul to do your segment now, if that's okay with you, Paul.
Absolutely.
Great. Tell us a little bit about yourself for those that don't know.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a shamanic healer and teacher here from the UK. I teach both Celtic shamanism and a range of different healing modalities like Reiki. And I also own a pagan and witchcraft shop where pretty much now around like 90% of what I sell is actually, well, no, actually that's a lie, about 80% of what's sold is made by myself. So I make everything from like spell kits to magical oils and charms and all manner of very, very crazy, very, very Celtic and druid pagan inspired. That's me. And also talking about synchronicities, you've got sacred inspiration, your sacred segments. My shop is called Sacred Circle. So there you go. The 3 S's. I like it. Very cool. Anyway, okay. So in thinking about what I wanted to do tonight, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do something a bit more druid themed again, because last time was quite cool. Or I wanted to return to my my little realm of inner child meditation. And then, as is often the way, inspiration hit me, and I saw this card in my head. So this is from the Wildwood Tarot. This is known as the Wanderer, and it's the replacement for the Fool. So in the Wildwood Tarot, the cards are slightly different. And in this one, rather than being just jumping off the cliff without really thinking, without looking, without leaping, this is more about taking faith. And it's very much about the inner child and curiosity. And when I saw the card in my head, I thought about it, and I thought, actually, we can make this into a nice little pathworking meditation. So all of us have aspirations, right? We've all got dreams. We've all got things we want to have and achieve in our lives. But often what we do is we allow stories to kind of override our joy and our sense of adventure. Stories that are often actually lies, that we can't do it, we're not good enough, or, I don't know, we don't have the skills, or no one's going to show up, whatever it might be. Children, on the other hand, are incredible storytellers, which is what makes them really powerful magicians. They want to create something in their mind and they just do it. And for us, like as adults, looking at this with the cards, so you can almost see like the clouds, and there's this rainbow bridge, this bridge of joy, like happily taking this central character off on their journey. The children don't hold fear until they're told fear, right? So when they create stories, they don't create hindrances to their path. They just create the path, which again is what makes them incredible magicians. So in this little inner child meditation, I'm going to take you through. In fact, I'm not even going to take you. You're going to lead yourself. And here's what I want you to do. I want you all to close your eyes right now. And I want you to imagine an avatar for your inner child, whatever age, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever it might be. And I want you to think of a goal or a dream that you'd really want, something that you know in your absolute core of your being is something you truly want, right? And within your own mind, I want you to become that age, or however you see yourself. And I want you to create the story that gets you there in the fastest time, in the most magical way. Without any hindrances or any blocks, how would you get there? And do it joyfully with absolute complete faith and the innocence and purity of that true inner child self of yours. Just imagine yourself on that journey, that story, with just absolute joy. How would you get there? And if you knew the outcome was assured and you did it joyfully, then you probably wouldn't just walk. You might skip or hop or find some other really energetic, playful way to just get where you're going. And maybe you don't really have a destination. Maybe you're just on a journey. Well, then just imagine yourself on that journey, skipping, jumping, playful, laughing, just with absolute joy, with no hindrance, boundaries, or obstacles in your way, knowing you can get there. No little voice in your mind saying, no, no, no. You just going, yes, yes, yes. And maybe whenever you get to where it is that you're going, you get there and you give yourself a little victory dance, some little way that celebrate with your whole body and your whole being. Remember, you're seeing the world as a child. How does a child celebrate victory? In the most exuberant, energetic way, like so the whole world knows they've achieved whatever they've achieved. So give yourself that little gift, that little reward right now. And then when you're ready, return to your everyday sense of self, your physical form, back in your body, and then open your eyes.
Paul, thank you for reminding me of something really beautiful that I used to do as a child, which was I used to put chairs in the living room and put a sheet over the top, and I would get a catalogue and cut out little bits of furniture and sellotape them all around. And that was my home, my little.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Do you know what? Do you know what the best thing about having a nephew who's 8 years old is that I get to do all that stuff all over again with him. So we often get the chairs out and the sheet and like it's a space station for him, or it's a castle. That, and I love that sense of wonder and joy of like creating something from a sheet and chairs. Or like for you, sheet, chairs, and a catalogue. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
thank you for reminding me about that. I think that's going to be my magical place of how I access the other world. So thank you.
You should just do it. You should just, you know, after this, get some chairs, get a sheet, and just go immerse yourself in that tent-like world, and then create from that space.
Why not?
You know? Absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay, well, you've got like a couple of minutes left, if you don't mind. Can you just remind us about the oak tree and the importance of working with oak trees? Because I know that you've spoken about oak trees in the past, and I know it's a very spiritual tree and powerful magical tree. Can you just remind us of the power of oaks?
Yeah, so certainly. So in the Irish Gaelic, the word for oak is dua. And some say that it's the origin of the word for druid. the word oak meaning dua, meaning mightiest of trees or mightiest amongst men, and the word druid meaning wise oak or old oak. Oak's a symbol of strength and sovereignty. The reason why it was used in the Elizabethan times, or even before then, to make houses, ships, etc. In actual fact, in Elizabethan times, it almost became extinct because of that very reason. It's just, yeah, it's a symbol of strength, but also from a mystical perspective, often the Cran Bathada, which literally is Celtic, means tree of life, with its roots reaching up to touch the branches and the branches reaching down to touch the roots, symbolizing a Taurian field of the lower and the upper worlds meeting in the central point, is said to be the oak. Because it's the doorway. It's the doorway between the lower, the middle, and the upper worlds, or from a Druid perspective, the land, the sea, and the sky. What else about oak? Also within the Celtic kind of sort of pagan ideal, you have one half of the year overseen by the Oak King, which is a season of growth, and then the other half of the year is overseen by the Holly King as death. So, for example, if you were to create that, if we would say that was Canonus, like Canonus in his 6 months of the year was as the king of the wildwood, and then obviously for 6 months of the year, king of the underworld. The acorn, the nut of the oak tree, has all of the power of the oak inside it. And obviously a single acorn can birth an entire forest, which is why we use acorns in magic, not only for divination purposes, to burn, for empowerment, purely because it's about luck, it's about abundance. Again, it has all of that power of the oak. Another thing about the oak as well is it's about endurance. So when we're going through times of challenge and change and inner growth and healing, oak symbolizes that inner strength, the inner strength that comes from just enduring all of that pain or whatever it is that we might be going through at that time.
Okay.
And also, the other thing about the oak is that its roots spread out across the entire rootwork system. So it spreads out far and wide. It is effectively the jacking point for nature's equivalent of the World Wide Web. It is the oldest of libraries.
Beautiful. Thank you, Paul.
No worries, you're welcome.
In a moment, I'm going to ask Harkin to do his segment and tell us a little bit about himself. Thank you for that beautiful info on oaks. Before I hand over to you, Harkin, I'm going to just speak very briefly about, just for a couple of minutes, on the healing power of nettles. Usually we have Bonnie, who's our herbalist and psychic artist. She couldn't make today, but during this week, I had a bit of a realization that I need to start drinking nettle tea, because I maybe drink 2 or 3 coffees a day, which is maybe a little bit more than I need to drink. I mean, don't take my coffee away from me, because I'm not a nice person if you do that. But maybe I could replace 1 or 2 of the coffees with nettle tea. And I was looking into the healing properties of nettles. And I just want to quickly share them with you, because they're really powerful for both men and women, and they have lots of health-giving properties. And one of them is that not only do they contain many nutrients, but it reduces inflammation in the body. And of course, most, if not all, diseases are created by inflammation, as well as thinking patterns, which can be undone through thinking patterns. But all the things that can reduce inflammation are obviously helpful. It can treat an enlarged prostate and the symptoms that come with that. It can help reduce fevers, lower blood pressure if you have high blood pressure, and can help stabilize blood sugar. And there are lots of other benefits. There are some side effects, which, you know, as with all things, we need to look into. But if you suffer with hay fever, it can also help. So rather than run and get an antihistamine, why not drink some nettle tea every now and again? So just wanted to offer that to you. So Harkin, it's great to have you with us. We had a little bit of a conversation. I think it was cut yesterday or the day before. But welcome
Mhm.
to Sacred Segments. It's great to have you here. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Thank you. Well, I'm from Canada, Alberta, in a little city called Red Deer, to be exact. I do I Norse pagan, very mixed European background. Beyond that, generally, I do northern shamanic healing. I give shamanic wisdom, and work with work a lot with runes, and giving, whether that's giving rune readings or just the wisdom from them. And I've been really working deeply with them since my shamanic initiation a few years ago, as and treating it like a medicine wheel in itself, as I started to work on them one at a time. And I do life coaching, and I work as a spiritual life coach guide. And so today, I wanted to start by talking a little bit about the spirits of runes as a whole. You know, a lot of folks have this understanding that they're a divination system, much like tarot or oracle cards, of course, but they're so much deeper than that. For myself, I started getting into them a few years ago, and at first I just got a set that it was as simple as getting a set from rock and gem shop that were shungite. And then after a while of studying them for a good year and working with that set, I started to write them down in my grimoire, studying them each one at a time for a week at a time. And now I see them on a much grander scale. So they each have this specific, I'll grab one of my other sets here. They each have a very specific spirit to them that lies inside each one, connected into each one. There's my wooden set there, you can see. And there, that's a set that I had gifted to me by a friend. And they're, like I say, there's so much deeper than just a divination system. There's life lessons in each one, and we can use them in magic, writing them down in script, or using them to layer the intention and magic into spell work, or so many different applications in that sense, whether you're writing it on you. The left side of the body is for you, and the right side of the body is to send it out to someone else. And then from the grander perspective, on this medicine wheel perspective, or wheel of the year perspective that I keep bringing up, is the fact that the runic wheel can be literally placed over the astrological wheel of the year, in which each one goes with a certain astrological sign. So each astrological sign has 2 runes that go with it as we go through the year. Start Behu, the beginning of the Elder Futhark, starting with Aries, which is transitioning next week on the 21st. So then, as I go through the year, I count each moon phase. I come into the next rune on the wheel of the year, and I work with it the same way we would work with the moon phase, understanding, oh, the moon's in Leo right now, so I'm working with that energy. And I will work with that energy of that rune for that 2-week period, because I know that it's active during that time. And that's just, I'm running out of time because I have a meeting in a little under half an hour, but I just wanted to give you a brief introduction about me and how I work with runes and how deeply woven into my own practice and into your practice that they can be.
That's beautiful. I'm very excited about deepening my personal understanding of runes because I've been working with them for many, many years, and I found them to be really powerful. And I was introduced to singing the runes, which I didn't know about. And as a singer, that's doubly exciting for me. But what rune are we in at the moment? What's your rune for today?
Oh, at the moment we are in Othala at the end of the wheel, at the end of the Futhark, for another week or so until we come into Phaezu.
Okay.
And so right now, especially being the end of winter, as I relate these different themes with the Wheel of the Year as well, if you're familiar with the medicine wheel, it's the end of winter, it's the north, the direction of the north, it's earth, and it's very reflective. It's the time to reflect back on the winter and how it went, and at the same time, Othala reminds us to understand how we are connected to our ancestors, and at the same time, you are an ancestor in training for your descendants. And when we work with Othala, there's this theme of home, and what are you doing to manifest your dream life and call in the home life and the Dharma, if you will, if I could borrow that word from the Eastern philosophy, that I really truly associate Othala with your life's purpose, your life's work, and that understanding of being the sovereign self who owns that and doesn't question it.
I have a question about the name, because I understand, like in different parts of the world, we pronounce things differently. I've always referred to that rune as Othilla, but I noticed that you have a different pronunciation to how I know it. I mean, does it matter?
Othala, it's very synonymous. It's like, and I'm a really big fan of Edward Thornson's Futhark. It has different pronunciations and different shapes of each rune and how they've been looked at through the ages. Take Ingwaz, for example. It can be said as Ing or Ingas or Ingwaz. So different people pronounce ones differently, and that's okay. Nobody's wrong.
So the shape of it looks a little bit like a fish. I don't know if you have it and whether you could hold it up to the camera, but I know that rune as the rune of separation. Am I correct in thinking that? But it's
separation.
It's kind of like a circle with two edges. There you go. Thank you. I have that as well.
There is quite a duality to it. And I wouldn't necessarily see it as separation myself, but a connection and duality between you and your higher self, you and your ancestors, you and your sovereign self, but at the same time, if we look at a connection to each one as as no different than a connection to our different chakras, for example, then not being in alignment with it would be a disconnection and a separation from your spiritual self.
We have a Norse goddess with us in our midst, in Greta. She is a Viking lady. Are you familiar with the runes, Greta?
Not in depth, but I just started my own shamanic training, and part of it is going to be to familiarize myself with the runes.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm gonna invite us all to maybe work with that particular rune. Is that okay? Just sing it to get familiar with it over the course of the next
absolutely.
2 weeks.
Chant with it, sing it, imagine it when you do meditation. I'll do it in the shower sometimes. I'll end up in the shower, standing there under the cold water, just breathing the rune into existence. And I find that connection with the cold to be very, very, very connective with my spiritual practice.
I always get inspirations in the shower. The most amazing thoughts in the shower.
Absolutely. I'll be in and I really love cold therapy, like finishing a shower with a few minutes of cold, and then I'll tune into it really, really deeply, and just chant it out and chant it with enough repetition that it becomes a trance. And as I connect to it, all of a sudden, I don't even notice how cold the water is.
And you can make your own melody, right? You can make your own melody.
Exactly. And so part of that too, and maybe I'll touch more on this next time because I should get going soon, but that repetition is the footnote of trance work. When we repeat things over and over, that's what sends us into trance, whether it's listening to repetitive drumming or repeating a rune over and over and over. That repetition is what sends us through the veil.
Okay, so before you go, I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions about. I have one, but does anybody else have any questions about runes or this rune in particular? For Haken. Okay, well, his email is in the chat, so if anybody thinks of anything that they want to ask him, then you can, I'm sure, email him. And so my question is kind of twofold. Number one is, would you mind singing it?
Oh, sure. There, you get a little bit of throat singing too.
That felt really powerful. Thank you. And of course, you can sing it in any way that resonates with you, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be like right down there. If you have a high voice or if you want to sing different notes, then whatever works for you.
Deep guttural throat singing.
It's very powerful. That was wonderful. Thank you. Okay, my other question, my final question was, if you were going to have one word to describe this rune, what would it be? Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate your being here. And
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to check in with the rest of the group now and just find out how you're all doing. And I'm just going to speak to Justin. It's been a while. How are you?
It's a complicated answer, but very well overall. It's been quite a time.
Is that your painting in the background?
Yeah, there's several of them going on.
Oh.
This one here is particularly fun.
Wow.
It's
Is that a crystal? What is that?
say again.
Is that a crystal? Is it the ocean? What is that?
I don't know. It's going to be whatever. It's right now. It's kind of a self-portrait, sort of future cast of the year I just went through and the year that I'm entering into. And yeah, I just moved to Connecticut, and I've been in New York State all my life pretty much, and I came down to care for a friend in Wappinger Falls, Hudson Valley area, who's passing from cancer currently. And so I've ended up here at his father's house because we sort of had a falling out over the past 6 months over it, because it's very intense for him to be in so much pain. And it's very intense for me to have to be accelerating into joy and excitement and building this body of work out that I've been working on all these years to this moment in my time where I have to apply this. And so the dualism of like sleeping right above him in his space and trying to have these meetings and stuff. And so I'm here now, the third day, coming back to myself, being able to operate for and from myself, really for what we have to do on this planet, because I was sort of losing sight of that, like trying to be excited about life and mourn and grieve for my friend in the process. At the same time, it seems like I have a falling out with me because it's so intense. So anyway, he's a master painter himself. This is my first circular canvas here that I started with him when I was down there. And this fire and ice back here, that was kind of us, I started painting. It's been a very intense experience that I'm going to be able to really kind of carry on his legacy, even though he would kind of not want me to at this point, or not want anybody to. He had a falling out in life, at 50 years old almost. He wanted to live to 50, which was almost 2 months away, and it doesn't seem like he's going to make it. And so we get to celebrate him in a very expansive way moving forward as I stay in his father's house, who's an amazing professor in art himself, and he's caring for him now at his house. So I'm staying here by myself, reconciling my life while they reconcile theirs. And then I get to care for him when he comes home and take care of him in his house, because he's getting pretty beat up in this process. He's like 80 something or whatever, and has some health issues himself. So this is my 15 years of home care work, being a caregiver, kind of culminating into a crescendo in my life where I get to be an advocate for this body of work at large, and for mental health, and how I've applied Qigong and art to reconcile my own differences and relationships to these things.
That's profound. If he's not already doing it, and he can access some frankincense essential oil, a little bit on the soles of the feet to really help with pain and cancer. Also black seed oil taken internally, which is from the cumin family. Black seed oil has a lot of health benefits, and particularly for people that are living with cancer, it could be helpful. I was doing a lot of research into natural healing recently, and there are other things that you can do that help. But I appreciate everyone has their own journey. But thank you for sharing that. I've known Justin for many, many years. And through the years, he's always struck me as a very profound person, and it's great to see you. Great to have you here.
Likewise. I'm going to be expanding a lot onto my Instagram. So it's Justin Michael Blue with underscores in between the name. That's because it's really time that I used kind of on the way down. I wrecked my truck and walked away from the accident with a screwed up thumb. I've got a nice, where the airbag leaked out onto my hand. I walked away from wrecking my truck on the way down to see my friend after just meeting my soulmate for the first time in person.
Wow.
And so it's been, I called it a rite of passage. And this in closing, this was the rite of passage painting that I started of like the inner child saying, well, look what I can do. And this turned into this crazy self-portrait of, what this experience has been. So this experiment on black canvas with iridescent metallic paints, and learned a bunch of different processes of how that works. And so this is the rite of passage. It's probably, I don't know, a third done, because there's a lot of learning I'm still doing with that yet. But
Colors are amazing. Thank you for sharing.
thank you for giving me the space to heal with you guys, because I'm just getting into runes myself now more in a deeper way. It's very just timely to be here with you guys. And
Awesome.
thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Carl, I want to check in with you as well. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. I'm a little bit scattered at the moment, I think, but we had some mist come in from the sea today. I think it's shifted the energy a little bit, but I'm well, thank you.
Are you in Ireland?
No, I'm in Spain.
You're in Spain. Wow. Which part?
Near Alicante, or between Alicante and Valencia.
Oh, I love it there.
So, and neighbors to Anna were in the same neighboring town.
Beautiful. Well, please just share the work that you do with everyone, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, so I'm a trance medium. I think I'm going to have to say that again, because I see sometimes people write it down as trans, T-R-A-N-S, but it's just the way, because of my Irish accent, it's trance, T-R-A-N-C-E.
Bring through drag queens.
Yes. So I'm not actually, I think I brought through a lady of the night once when I was doing my training, but I've not had drag queens yet. Yes, so it's a bit like Whoopi Goldberg in the film Ghost, but a bit more serious, I suppose. So it was something Spirit tapped me on the shoulder to do. Wasn't something I had any interest in at all, and not something I'd ever even thought much about. But I did my training, and I worked with a particular guide in Spirit called Katarang, who comes through me and speaks and gives lectures on philosophy, or he'll give one-to-one guidance. But also for other work within special circles, maybe soul rescue circles, I can act as the trance go-between for some of those trapped souls that need to communicate with people in the physical world, because they still think they're physically alive and they don't seem to be able to see what's going on around them in spirit. So some of the work I've done in the past has been facilitating that connection for them to helpers and healers here on the physical, who are working with their guides and spirit to, help show the light and the path home.
Very powerful.
And an aspect of it is then doing trance healing as well. So I think a lot of people who start doing healing or Reiki and other modes of healing, it often develops and takes a shape of its own. And that's what I found when I was doing Reiki. I started feeling like I was going into a trance-like state. And so I let that continue. My guides take over, and it'll be, doing extractions and removing karmic blockages or whatever that might be. I just have to trust the process. But normally I can feel it. I can feel something's happening, and generally the client can too, but not always, I suppose.
Now, I'd just like to ask you a question before I'm gonna hand over to Anna Lee Stone to do her segment. The question is, in a group like this, are you able to identify, if you were in trance, whether there are spirit attachments and whether you could remove those while in trance? Is that something that you could do?
Good question, because I don't know the answer, because I'm not trying to do it in trance remotely either. It's It's an interesting question. I would imagine, because I kind of know that when I give myself over to the process and they take over, things would happen and unfold, and I probably wouldn't really understand what was going on. So I'd have to get the feedback from other people.
I get what you're saying, because like often, you know, we're just channels, we're vessels, and we're kind of almost not present during that process. So I really do understand what you're talking about.
I mean, when I've done, I suppose, demonstration talks, my guides will, because they take over and they move my body, so they will turn and face a direction and say, I know there's a question from over there, and invariably there is. My eyes are closed, so I don't see who it is or not. So there is the energetic connection always, and that has not any limitations over time and space. So in my mind, it's certainly feasible. My job would be not to get involved, not to overthink it, but to allow spirit to do its work, and that's it. That's
amazing. I'm very fascinated. Thank you for sharing what you do.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
In the future, we're going to have Padma back as a guest, and Padma does animal communication work. Among other things, she's a color healer and an incredible soul. I'm really grateful that you're here tonight. Thank you. It's great to see you, and I will check in with you at the end of the group. Right now, I'm going to ask Annalise Stone to do her segment, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a question though for Carl, if that's cool. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, like I guess I do this now. Like I realize I'm doing this channeling thing, and I didn't know until I started recording myself reading tarot cards. Like I thought I was doing something else. Like I thought I was reading cards, but then I watched the video and I'm not doing that. I'm like literally talking to I don't know what. Like it was confusing when I first saw it. I was like, what am I doing? Is it normal to not know the name of your guides, or like, I don't know, because I don't know where it comes from. It happens.
My personal view is it's completely normal to not know. They're not necessarily hung up on names as we are. And often it's only when we say, oh, I need a name, that they will give a name, because that helps us to feel that we know them.
Okay.
But yes, I don't think you should be hung up on that at all.
Okay.
So long as you can understand the connection. And I think with time you'll build a familiarity to the energy, because it might be there are other guides to do different kinds of work.
Right.
I don't believe that we're necessarily limited to working with one guide. It depends on, I suppose, your path and maybe your energy body. I feel mine's kind of quite flexible, so lots of different people can squeeze into me depending on the need. But I know there are some that only work with one or two particular guides, and that's it. So, then there's no written manual for this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it is important that I feel, ensure that the connections are trustworthy, and I went for training to a particular college and did it under supervision. And I did have some mishaps, shall we say, in the beginning, because I was too open and too vulnerable. So, just be careful as well.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I don't want that to happen. But yeah, it seems to be random people. Like when I'm reading cards for other people, there are people on the other side. I guess they're telling me, I don't know. Like, I guess that information, I'm not sure. But I just don't even know what's happening. Like, I literally don't know until I wake up kind of from it.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I'm
if it makes you feel uncomfortable, make sure you say no. Hold on. because it's, you know, your sovereignty, and it's, you know,
Right.
they will respect boundaries if we put them up, but if we don't, they just say, oh, it's free game. So
Yeah, I was just a little unnerving. Thank you so much. I appreciate that,
You're
because
welcome.
everyone knows names of their guides, and I'm like, I don't know. Like,
no, I
hopefully-
just, yes, there was some I didn't know for a long time until I pestered them, and they gave me a name, but like, so it's a label, but I don't know if it's their real name.
yeah, it's like, I actually did get one name, and I was like surprised it was like my grandfather's name, because it was random, but I don't know that he would be my guide. I don't know. I don't know. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And like on that note, actually,
Just a little bit of housekeeping. Sorry,
Go
my apologies for interrupting. I just want to outline timings. So, Greta, if you are happy to close the session this evening, then that's the way we'll do it. And then after Annalise Stone, Anna, your segment will be, Greta's segment is going to be around 20 minutes. And Anna, the two Annas, you have 10 minutes approximately each. Okay. So I just wanted to outline that for you guys so you know what's what. And pardon my interruption, I just needed to outline that. Please go ahead.
okay. So on that note about, you know, having like abilities to channel or I don't know, read cards or read energy, whatever. I'm doing my research currently in my graduate program on trauma and how it, like in childhood, can make us psychic. Like, how does that actually happen? Like, how? Like, because everyone says that, but I want to know how. So I'm conducting research in it now, and I was surprised to find a lot of actual peer-reviewed studies in the last 20 years. I guess I somehow missed, that have been conducted that have actually pretty much proven in the lab, you know, that these abilities are real, and that they all have this high correlation with trauma. Like 97% of the people that exhibit psychic abilities have severe trauma in their backgrounds. But it's more than that. So I just wanted to go over, in the past, I kind of briefly read like a abstract of one of my papers that I had written about trauma and initiation and like the wounded healer kind of thing. And I just wanted to kind of revisit that, and with the added information about the new genetic studies that also show that there's a genetic component to this whole thing as well, which I thought was fascinating. If that's cool, if you guys are cool with that. So right, so like, again, like trauma, the definition that I have come up with is any encounter, acute or prolonged, that overwhelms the capacity of the psyche to process the experience. In these times, what confronts us is too intense to hold, integrate, or comprehend. The emotional charge that arises saturates our capacity to make sense of the experience, and we become overwhelmed and alone. It's important to understand that the traditional initiation process involving, you know, like tribal elders and proper holding space for support was meant to radically reshape the sense of self of the initiate and to break them open to the widest possible experience of in identity. In other words, it's designed to bring them like right to the brink of death of the current sense of self. And the purpose for this is to have them be opened up and receive understanding of the spiritual and ancestral realms that surround us. After this is done, the initiate usually, hopefully emerges as a new self, and they're viewed as such within the community, right? Like everyone treats them differently. However, for us in the Western world that don't have that kind of support, we have what we call rough initiations, you know, all the things that happen to us that are not planned, that are not organized, that don't have any support system attached to them. They're all the traumas, you know, think of one, it's on the list, okay? It lacks all of the things that the indigenous people have, like a plan, you know, knowing that it's going to happen, and we don't know, it just happens. This is, you know, it's much harder because they're not, again, we're not aware that they're going to occur, right? So this typically ends up with some problems with it. So they're always traumatic, and they have this absence of an adequate holding environment capable of supporting an individual during that time. The absence of this village, you know, in times like this, settle like sediment in our being, taking on a feeling of overwhelm and frequently of shame for the person. It's as if we intuitively knew that someone should have responded to our stress, and when they didn't show up, the thought fell on us like ash that it must be because of our unworthiness. It confirms our lack of welcome and belonging and reinforces our isolation and exile. Traditional initiation is a contained encounter with mortality. For those of us, though, in the Western world, initiation by trauma is described as an uncontained encounter with mortality, sometimes resulting in an enhanced connection to the spirit and ancestral realm. It seems that when we experience severe trauma, the aspects of the psyche may splinter off into the unconscious mind, opening or widening the veil between the worlds. This allows the essence of information to move or vibrate to a different aspect of the unconscious mind. As the portal between the conscious and unconscious mind is now more open, the trauma victim can perceive previously inaccessible aspects of the unconscious. So new research in genetics is suggesting that there may be, in fact, a genetic component to psychic ability. For those that are not victims of trauma, there is a high prevalence of Scottish Highland ancestry within the genetic makeup. For those who do experience trauma in their youth, interestingly enough, the difference appears to be the lack of a gene activation on the serotonin transporter gene 5-HTT, and it's a variant. So basically, this gene is not activated in individuals who exhibit psychic ability, but is present in those that don't have psychic ability or a history of trauma. The gene is associated with depression and how one responds to stress in life. Those who have the activated gene are more prone to depression and blunted affect for a lot of things. Those who don't, those of us that don't have it, and I don't, I checked my genetic makeup, and I do not have this. It actually means that our ancient lizard brain limbic system is in full effect, that there's no like governor on it at all. Whereas with people who have it activated, there is a governor on that, like the fight or flight response and stuff is kind of blunted more so than people that don't have this activation. So this being on high alert, the ability to stay in our old ancient mind space, I guess, might be one of the mechanisms that allows for us to have these abilities, which I thought was interesting. So, and then the other thing too is that there's research now that's showing that reframing the experiences of trauma is shown to be very effective in helping an individual to heal from it. And it helps get them out of the victim stage and into a more empowered sense of self, like knowing that they've overcome without the need to re-traumatize by going back into all the details. You know, just being able to look at something from a different lens is the new, like, kind of approved trauma therapy, like, protocol. So I just thought those things were really interesting, and they happened to come up in my research. So I wanted to share them with you. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free. But that's my share. Thank you for that time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Anna. So maybe not a question, kind of a question. Have you heard of a secret government project? I can't remember the exact code name, but it was, I believe, in New York, like kind of connected to Montauk.
Right.
Montauk project, where they were sexually abusing males,
yep.
Male like adolescents,
yeah,
and somehow measuring the trauma response and extracting the trauma.
Right.
Do you know about this?
Oh yeah, they did it at China Lake also here in like on the border of California and Arizona and Nevada, I think. Back in the 80s. Yeah, that is. I can't remember the project name either, but I literally just went to the Museum of Psychiatry here.
I think it's Montauk. I believe
it's Montauk, but it's a sub project of it also. It's named something like Stranger Things kind of title like to it, I swear. It's like they had the documents there at this museum. I took my students on a field trip to, and it's terrible. Like that's what they did. The goal of that was to split the personality, was to create, alter, identities so that they could make sleeper agents, like basically people activated to do things, you know, like assassinations or whatever, I guess. That, I mean, and that's real. Like that's people don't believe that our government here did that, but they did. And I don't believe for a second they're done.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, that's horrible. I mean, they've known for
It's
very
horrible.
they've known for a very long time that especially sexual trauma for some reason is very, very capable of creating a split in the psyche, literally.
It's so interesting. Thank you so much for bringing this up, because I think we all carry trauma to one degree or another, and I believe that, you know, trauma is the essence of our not functioning at our full capacity, you know?
Right. I mean, I would want to say one more thing though, that like in my research I've come up with and talking to, you know, I'm getting my PhD in psychology and I'm talking to all my professors, and everyone kind of agrees that we're never ever, like, you're never ever going to be fully healed. Like there'll be a level of you know, attainment of healing you can achieve, but the purpose is to keep part of it, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to help other people. Like, can you imagine, like, if we could just erase it, we would forget about it. We would be like, I'm out, I'm like, and head for the hills and not ever think about it again and like get rid of it, right? So that wouldn't help anybody though. Like, so we have to still have a level of like some degree of knowing that we're still wounded without having the impact on our life that's so negative that many of us have struggled with.
I think it gives us a level of compassion,
yes,
and a level of empathy that other people don't have, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it does. It does. And I think that people, they can find us. They flock to you. Like they come to you without even knowing that you have what they need. You know, there's some weird, like, there's like, I don't know if it's frequency or something that attracts them. Yeah. And I've so many times found people that have had experiences I've already been through and already successfully dealt with, and now I can help them, and that's not planned at all. It just happens all the time.
And unfortunately, we're a magnet for narcissists, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yes, we are. That trauma. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's, I mean, I just thought it was super interesting, and that's the genetic thing is really cool. I think like that's actually like documented science now. Yeah,
fascinating. Okay, we're out of time for this segment. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, that was kind of heavy but amazing.
That's how I roll.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So Anna Pavlakis, how are you doing?
Good. I'm feeling that energy.
Yeah, I know, it's intense.
Which well blends perfectly with what I was planning to do, or what I'm going to be doing. So yeah, I'm really kind of lightheaded from feeling that. So it's great actually. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Anna Pavlakis. I'm a shamanic healer, a feng shui practitioner, and I do other things too, but those are the two main things I do. What I wanted to work with you guys tonight on, so I have how much time? 10 minutes, you said?
Yeah.
I want to talk about fear. Because next week we have a lot of really strong astrological and planetary and everything energies coming through, including the equinox, all the 3 things happening in Aries, and it's like a huge push forward. This whole year is about a huge push forwards, but I think a lot of fears are coming up. And we were talking about trauma with Anna Lee, and I wanted to do some work with you guys on removing fear. So if you could put in the chat 1 or 2, just real quick, like when I say the word fear, what comes up for you? Like just 1 word for you, the main thing. Okay. I'll just give you a minute to do that. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm seeing shame, anxiety, insecurity, no energy, not enough money or clients, abandonment, lack of freedom, intensity. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So I want to do with you an exercise that you can actually, it's a tool that I use that I was taught by my teacher. It was originally channeled by Dr. Joshua David Stone, who was my teacher's teacher. And it's called the Core Fear Matrix Removal Program. I may have used it with some of you in the past. So I'd like you to close your eyes for a moment and just take a deep breath and let it out. Let's release some of that heaviness that we're feeling. I'm a shaman. Sorry, I burp a lot. Okay. So I call forth Master Dwakul by Weymouth and Archangel Metatron, and I call forth the Core Fear Matrix Removal Program. And I ask that it be, sorry. Now, this is with your permission, everyone. So if you would like me to do this clearing for you, your permission is understood. And if not, you are free to say no. You don't have to tell me, it's just understood by spirit. So I call for the Core Fear Matrix Removal Program. I ask it to be anchored into the energy grid of everyone on this call who would like to have it in their energy grid, including anyone watching the video in the future, if there is a video, I don't know. I ask that the Core Fear Matrix Removal Program remove all anxiety out of our energy grids, all anxiety about anything, anxiety about money, anxiety about being overwhelmed, anxiety about not being good enough, anxiety about things being too intense. All core fears around anxiety, all core fears around freedom and lack of freedom. All core fears around lack of energy. All core fears around shame, not being good enough, all lack consciousness. Please remove all lack consciousness. And you can visualize this being pulled out through the crown of your head like someone pulling out roots from weeds in a garden. All lack consciousness, lack of money. Lack of clients. Lack of being good enough. Lack of confidence. Lack of energy. Lack of time. Lack of resources. Lack of love. Lack of self-worth. Pulling this out of your energy grid. I ask that the Core Fear Matrix Removal Program remove all core fears in a generalized sense. I ask that the Core Fear Matrix Removal Program remove all core fears around the future. Fears of what might happen. Fears of what might not happen. Things that you want to happen. Fear of it not happening. Fears of not having your ambitions realized, your dreams and your goals realized. Please remove this. Please remove all core fears around moving forward. All core fears around forward movement, anything keeping us stuck. All core fears coming from trauma, including any trauma coming from our genetic line. All core fears around not knowing. All core fears around being psychic. All core fears around connecting with spirit. And please remove all core fears that are keeping us from feeling balanced, peaceful, calm, aligned, and in our personal power. And one more. Please remove all core fears related to secret governments, secret projects, dark forces, dark agendas, anything that has been instilled in us, known or unknown. Please remove all those fears to the maximum possible amount at this time. And please, we ask now for a downpouring and a light shower of core love and the Christ Buddha Melchizedek attributes to fill our entire beings with light, unconditional love, Christ consciousness, peace, prosperity, knowingness, alignment. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Anna. That was amazing, and I know how powerful it was because I got the hippie shakes. And what I mean by that is my head starts to vibrate, and when that happens, I know that my spirit is activated and is working. There's some kind of thing going on. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was very powerful. Thank you.
I hope it was helpful. Well, I know it was helpful. And it is a tool that you guys can use. Okay, so again, it's the Core Fear Matrix Removal Program. You call upon Melchizedek. I'm sorry, Archangel Metatron. Sorry, I'm not quite here yet. By Weymouth, Dwakul, but you could also call in your personal guides or any archangels that you resonate with, ask them to instill it into you and just pull stuff out. And I recommend doing this every day.
Awesome. Thank you, Anna.
Welcome.
Greta, great to see you. How are you doing?
Great to see you too. I'm doing okay.
Good.
Had a bit of a rough day. I'm accepting.
Say again, please.
I've had a bit of a rough day, but I'm accepting it, so I'm doing okay.
Good.
Yeah. So usually on sacred segments, I do some energy healing. Usually it's emotion code. Today I want to talk about something else because I want to share what I wish someone had told me about 25 years ago when I started learning about the law of attraction. And I'm going to share with you about Psych K. It's PSYCH-K or psychological kinesiology. which was the first energy healing or energy psychology modality that I learned. And it's, for those of you who are familiar with Bruce Lipton, it's his favorite belief change modality. And the reason I want to share this with you is because I've found this to be by far the most efficient and effective tool to change limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs and change my perception of things. I want to start by, so often I call Psych K affirmations on speed because it works so fast. And I guess most of you are, or all of you are familiar with affirmations, these statements that we repeat over and over with the goal to reprogram our subconscious minds. And the reason we want to reprogram the subconscious mind is because the beliefs in there form the blueprint for your life. 95% of the time, your behaviors originate from your subconscious mind. So if you can control the beliefs in your subconscious mind, you can change your life. So Psych K is the fastest belief change modality that I have found. So if you think about the subconscious mind as a hard drive containing all the beliefs and programs that are the blueprints for your life, these beliefs and programs serve three functions. They provide instructions for every behavior or action that's performed without your conscious awareness. And this is necessary for everyday life, both physiologically and also socially. They form the filter through which your sensory information is processed, and therefore it greatly determines how you experience your reality. They're also a significant part of your point of attraction. So you attract the vibrational equivalent of what you feel about what you think, how you feel about what you think. And a belief is a thought that you've thought many times. So the beliefs in your subconscious mind is a big part of your point of attraction. If you have a belief saying, I'm unworthy, you're going to attract more reasons to prove to yourself that you're unworthy. And you might not even know because it's in your subconscious mind, so you're not even aware of it. So with Psych K, we can access what's in our subconscious mind, which we do using muscle testing. So you can think of your subconscious mind as a hard drive, and Psych K provides the keyboard and the monitor that allows you to discover and change your subconscious programming. So a Psych K process is called a balance, and a Psych K balance usually does one of two things. Either it helps you discover and change a negative belief into a positive, going from I'm unworthy to I'm worthy, or I'm unloved to I'm loved, or I'm not enough to I'm enough. And this happens in just minutes. Like Anna's tried this, Alexis has tried this, I do it all the time. So it's literally, instead of writing on your bathroom mirror, I'm enough, and looking at it every day for months and repeating it to yourself for months, you do a process that takes a couple of minutes and it's done. And then you muscle test, getting the answer from your subconscious mind, confirming that your subconscious mind has now actually changed and this program is now in there, and the program of I'm not enough is removed. So it's done, it's like finished. It also helps you change your perception of a stressful situation. This means that you can handle your everyday life from a whole brain state, where your hemispheres can communicate and where you respond to what goes on in your life from your prefrontal cortex with logical thinking, as opposed to your limbic emotional brain just being reactive. So Psych K is so useful, and I'm so excited about sharing it with you because it's the most effective modality that I've ever found to change your beliefs and change your perceptions of things. So it allows you to be in control of your subconscious programming and therefore your automatic behaviors. And I get to change my perception of reality, which means I get to decide how I experience my reality. And also, it's the most effective manifestation tool that I know, because it allows me to change my point of attraction to get into vibrational alignment with my goal or what I want to manifest in a way faster way than anything I've ever learned before. So in my work, it helps my coaching clients achieve their goals way faster because they change their points of attraction and their automatic behaviors and their perception of reality in a way that they can achieve their goals way faster. The reason I'm not doing Psych K on these calls is I'm not allowed to, as per the contract you sign when you become a facilitator. If you're going to do Psych K as a demo in front of a group, you have to be an instructor. But you can experience Psych K in a one-on-one session, either with me, or you can go to psych-k.com and find a list of preferred facilitators. And you can find one there to experience. You can also attend a course, either in person or online, where you learn these processes for yourself. And what's really cool is they're really straightforward. I think it was exactly what I needed as a biologist, as a very logical thinker, because it's step-by-step description of what to do. Anyone can learn how to do it. You don't have to come from a long line of shamans to be able to learn this. So it's a very accessible modality that anyone can learn or experience by seeing someone who can. It can be done from a distance. So I mean, I see all my clients online. Suits my introverted personality very well to see them on a screen.
May I just interrupt you just for a second? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say we're going to go about 10 to 15, 20 minutes max over time, and it's understood if people need to leave. Sorry for the interruption. Please carry on.
Yeah, sure. I kind of calculated that from what you said earlier before Annalise started, but thanks for clarifying. So I think it's really important that I share this because it's been life-changing for me. I found Psych K when I was at a very low place where I was physically very ill and I was miserable and I was not listening to my inner voice at all. And Psych K has completely helped me change my mindset and helped me manifest the life that I actually want. So I was thinking about, like, what would my 15, 20-year-old self have wanted to know? Well, Psych K for once. So that's why I thought I'd share it with you. And if I have a few more minutes, well, first of all, if there are any questions, I can answer those, and then maybe we can clear a couple trapped emotions at the end, just for good measure. Any questions? Nah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I have. So is it kind of working with your subconscious then to reframe and then restate maybe certain misguided perceptions? Is it just trying to get an idea of how it works, how it gets in under the covers of your conscious thinking?
Well, how it gets in under the covers is through the muscle testing, kinesiology. So because your subconscious mind controls all the unconscious processes your body does, it also controls your muscle strength. So in the presence of yes, positive, a truth, your muscles stay strong, and in the presence of the opposite, they go weak. So you can ask your subconscious mind any yes and no questions and get an answer. So if I want to know if you have a specific belief in your conscious mind, I'll simply ask you to state the belief out loud with meaning and conviction with your eyes focused down. Eyes focused down takes you into the subconscious mind as well. And then you state the statement, and I'll muscle test, or you can muscle test on yourself to see if it's in there or not. And if it is, awesome. If it's not, we'll do a Psych K process chosen by your subconscious mind to install it into your mind. And then we muscle test a post test at the end where you again state the statement. And then if it's a strong, it was a success. And if not, we go back and we redo it. Usually it's a strong in the first go.
And I guess the Psych K process, is that like giving yourself, instilling a belief, like vocally you state to yourself something, or
There-
like
There are
I-
different processes.
oh, okay.
And I'm not allowed to show you, but
No, understood.
it's very straightforward. First you do this, then you do this, and then you do this, and then you're done.
Okay.
And maybe you do this, and then you sit with your eyes closed and you do your thing, and then you'll just know when it's done.
Okay.
Would you say it's similar to EFT in a way? The way-
That's what I was thinking as well, maybe similar to EFT, yeah.
emotional freedom technique, the tapping.
Yeah, I think the difference there is, as far as I know, with EFT, you don't do the muscle testing to confirm that the change has been done, which is something I really appreciate with Psych K. Being a scientist, wanting the proof and all of that, I really appreciate that post-test saying, all right, it's done, and then you celebrate. So yeah, EFT might work equally well, I don't know. But I know Psych K works because I see the changes in my own life and my client's life. And I also know the process is done because the muscle test tells me it is. So I enjoy that a lot because it's very precise, and it appeals
Got a
to
full
me.
closed feedback loop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you need to know the belief, or is it sometimes as kind of in the subconscious and it comes up, or do you understand what I'm saying? Do you need to kind of be able to verbalize?
Articulated. Yeah.
Well, some no, you don't necessarily need to be able to do that. Sometimes the superconscious will clarify with the subconscious, and you don't even know what's going on. That happens. If it's you changing your perception of something, which I have an example. I was doing a TV interview at one point and I was super nervous. I was sitting outside in the waiting room, waiting for my turn, and I was freaking out. So I decided to do a Psych K process to change my perception of the TV interview. And I decided I wanted to feel peace, non-attachment, confidence, and calm. So I sit down, I do my process, close my eyes. It takes me about a minute, and I feel this like blanket of calm coming over me. And then I go in there and I nail that TV interview. I've never been so good on a video any time before that. I've been scared of video. And it just changes your whole perception of it. So then you don't need to have like a goal statement or an affirmation or anything. You just need to know that this is how I want to feel about it. So that's one approach. And then with a belief, like if you come in saying, well, this is my problem. Let's say my problem is I don't feel confident in seeing clients. Well, then you can say, okay, maybe we start by changing the perception of that, changing how you feel about it. And then we can go in and maybe find a new belief, like I'm amazing with clients. I love seeing clients. I feel so confident when I see my clients. So you know what you don't want, which means that's the contrast. Then what do you want instead, which is what we're going to install. That makes sense. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for a good question.
Yeah. Could you put it in writing what it is, how to spell it, the Psych K?
Yeah. there, and I'll put my website in the chat as well. If you want to experience the Psych K balance, you can schedule a free strategy call from my website, and I'll give you a demo. There we go.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So in the last couple of minutes of this segment, would you help us with clearing a couple of beliefs?
I can do a couple of emotions with emotion code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So I want to do something related to what Anna was doing, actually, the fear and stepping into our highest and best versions of ourselves. I want to clear anything holding us back from that. So if any of you don't want to be included, you can just make that intention to yourself, and otherwise I set the intention that we're all included, also anyone watching the recording. My name is the group, my name is Greta. All right. So is there a trapped emotion we can release for this goal now? Yes. It's creative insecurity. That's insecurity about creating anything in your life from big to small, whether it's art or a dinner or a career or a relationship or a dissertation or whatever it is. So just acknowledge whatever thought comes to you. Usually the first thing that comes to your mind is what this emotion is related to, and let's release it. Swiping 3 times from between the eyebrows to the back of your neck. Was that released? Good. Anything else? Yes. Crying, trapped emotion of crying. And that can be pushing it down, for instance. So let's release this trapped emotion of crying. Is it released? Yes. More, yes. Grief. This can be grieving something or someone, or it can be something or someone giving you grief. So it can be both. Let's release that. For me, it was actually both in one. That was interesting. Anything else? Yes. Discouragement. Let's release this trapped emotion of discouragement. Is it released? Yes. Depression. Let's release. All right. So in the interest of time, that concludes my segment. Before I give over to Alexis again, I want to acknowledge Annalie for nodding and just being so encouraging while I was speaking. It really boosted my morale. So thank you so much. That was great. Thanks.
I relate to the science part of it because I was a scientist also for 20 years. So I get it. So I appreciate that you have that background as well.
Yeah. Thanks. All right, Alexis, thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. That was wonderful. Okay, so let's close this session with gratitude, and let's talk about or name one thing that we are grateful for in ourselves. And if I could ask before we leave this call, Greta and Padma, would you mind staying on right at the end? Because I'd like to speak to you just for a couple of minutes. Thank you. So one thing that we're grateful for about ourselves, and secondly in general, okay, which doesn't have to be ourselves. I'll go last. So let's start with Anna Pavlakis.
I'm grateful for my courage, my fearlessness, that I can just go there and do it. Yeah.
And something general?
What?
Something that you're grateful for in general?
In general, I am grateful for being where I am.
Thank you.
That is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Thank you very much for everything that you've done this evening and for your comments. Thank you. Padma.
I am grateful for the heart I have and the ability to embrace and love and be empathic towards others. And then you said for more general, you said for others.
Yes.
Nothing comes to mind right now. Just being a service to others. But that's again, yeah. It's
That's
not...
beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. I'm going to ask Paul next.
Oh, what am I grateful for? Grateful for lots of things. I'm grateful for the wisdom that I have. I'm grateful actually also for my shadow, for being my greatest teacher on that road to wisdom.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. And thank you for your beautiful segment as well. It was wonderful. And for your teaching about the oak. Really loved that. Thank you. Okay, Carl, would you like to go next?
Thank you. Yes, I'm grateful for my perseverance. I don't give up easily. I keep going. So I think that's like kind of stamina, resilience, all tied in one. And in general, I'm grateful for the community, whether it's the spiritual community, the physical community, how we support each other.
Beautiful. Thank you, Carl. It's great to see you. And thank you for sharing about your work. It's really, it sounds really powerful, and I'm excited for when you come on as a main guest, so I can experience and that we can all share in your work.
Say May? I thought it was July.
No, no, I didn't say May.
Okay. Okay.
I think that wasn't me. Whatever you heard, it wasn't me.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Whenever it is, yeah, I'm excited for when you come on as a main guest. Main. Got you. Okay, so Annalie, would you like to go next? Is that your actual first name?
Yes. Well, no, it's Anna Lee Stone, but like.
Oh, Lee is the middle name. I got you. Okay.
My resilience, for sure, and then also I'm grateful for the phenomenon of mirroring with other people, so that you can see what aspects of yourself need to be healed when they're not readily obvious for you.
That's pretty amazing, because I was going to say exactly the same thing. And you said it for me, so I don't need to.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I just resonate with you. Thank you. Okay, Greta.
I am grateful for my ability to write, and I'm grateful for community as well.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for this evening. I knew it was going to be a great one, and it was. And, I just loved seeing all your faces. You make me feel so great, and thank you. So I'm going to stop recording now, if I can figure out how to do that. recording